Welcome to Positive Talk with Kevin McDonald. Hey, that's me. Hi, and welcome to Positive Talk. Our show features the best positive stories and people from around the globe as we endeavor to answer the universal question of why am I here and what is my purpose? Understanding that can change everything, and knowing your greatness is fundamental to living your best life. So join us right now as together we work to create the adventure of our lifetime. And welcome, everybody. My name is Kevin McDonald, and I gotta say, sometimes things happen and we find the adventure of our lifetime because I don't know, we have experiences in our life that may or may not be great, and there's might be your mom and dad or a problem or whatever. But one of the things that I think we all have a little bit of, and it would be really nice if we could get a better night's sleep, and that would be to be able to sleep all night and to really relax and feel good in the morning. And I really think that our guest today is going down the path of finding the right pillow and the right method. No, we're not going to talk to that guy. That that's a whole different show, and we don't want to talk about that. But Alizah Josette is with us, and she is the founder, creator, and wonderful head bottle washer of a brand new company that is making pillows that are designed to get you the rest that you need. And we're going to talk about that, but we're also going to talk more in depth about you and finding out who you were and all the things that you've done in life. So Alizah, welcome to the show. How are you today?
Hi, Kevin. Thank you so much for having me. I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm doing well, and you, thank goodness, are in Rhode Island, so you don't have to worry about like tornadoes and lions and tigers and bears and hurricanes and stuff today.
Thankfully, yes. I feel sometimes so fortunate to be in this location, especially over the whole globe. But in the United States here, there are always so many weather concerns, and thankfully, Rhode Island seems to avoid most of them. So, very lucky to be here.
Now, I've never been to Rhode Island. Is that anything like it is in Seattle?
Um, Less rain.
Oh, good.
But and maybe not as great coffee, I have to say. I know that Starbucks got their start in Seattle, and Seattle's
I
known
went
for
to the
their
very
coffee.
first. Yeah, I went to the very first Starbucks.
I got a mug from there when I was visiting. But I feel like they've kind of ruined coffee, honestly, because now they over roast the beans. Everywhere I go now in Rhode Island, it's all burnt coffee. And I think they're all just taking Starbucks's method of, over roasting. But hopefully Seattle still has the wonderful beans out there and people who know how to do it right, get a good cup of joe. But weather-wise, besides the rain, we're probably a little bit similar.
I have to I have to tell you, way back in the late 1970s, I was a waiter in a Denny's restaurant, and I was standing listening to two guys have a conversation about coffee. And this is right when Starbucks was just getting started.
Oh.
And the stock was just coming out. And the one guy was debating upon whether or not he wanted to buy some of this brand new coffee stock, and the other guy was, and so they were debating it, and it was like, you want, and by the way, at that time coffee at Denny's was 40 cents a cup, all you could drink, just
Oh.
the 40 cents. And the thing was, are you telling me that there are people that are going to pay $2 or $3 for a cup of coffee? Are you crazy? And stuff. And so they never did buy that stock. And now they would be multimillionaires had they.
Yeah, but now they live to regret it. I actually went to Starbucks recently out of desperation. I really needed some caffeine, and I got a small latte with oat milk, and it was over $7.
Uh-huh.
And like I said, and it didn't even taste good. But that's my own preference. I'm very fortunate. I live with someone and he imports our beans from Hawaii. He's very much into coffee. So we have a lovely little espresso machine and grinds the beans here. So I might be a little bit spoiled.
That's quite all right to be coffee spoiled.
I've adjusted. I'm okay with it.
Well, I don't know about the health benefits or not or whatever, but if it makes you happy, I'm a firm believer that you need to do things that make you happy.
Well, I think it's definitely a drug that I am addicted to, and I'm okay with that. I know it because when I don't have caffeine in the morning, I get a headache. So I have withdrawal symptoms, and that's how I realized one day I was like, "Oh, I'm actually like my body needs this." And I've kind of accepted that. We all have our vices, and absolutely a lovely morning cup of espresso is on mine, and we got to live with it. So it keeps me going.
Well, it's a great way to sit on the porch if you have one of those, or and drink your espresso and get a morning start, and get a good start to the day, and kind of relax and take it as it comes and stuff like that. In our society right now, we do not spend enough time doing that. We are so busy, 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 busy doing all the things that we're supposed to be doing that we don't take the time for ourselves to take care of ourselves.
Well, a lot of us, you're right. We don't take that time for that quietness and either like the reflective time. I mean, but a lot of us have very busy, chaotic families and jobs and things that keep us going. But I'm fortunate that I actually set my alarm a half hour before I would need to. So I have downtime in the morning to sit and have my espresso. And I just stare out at the trees. I'm surrounded by trees. You see the background. I'm in the woods here, and it really, that quiet time in the morning instead of just rush and go. And then when I meditate at night, it's the same thing. I get ready for bed an hour before I have to go to bed, so this way I have time to also decompress and reflect and try to connect. And I think, once again, that's probably me being very spoiled. I don't have children. I don't think that's easy for everyone to do out there, but I really I appreciate that time, that beginning and end of every day.
It really is important, especially the meditating part. Even if you just do it just a little bit from
Mhm.
time to time, if you don't have time to sit and do like a half hour meditation or an hour or whatever. I know people that do 3, 4 hours a day, and that may be a little bit excessive, but for them it works. And we all need to relax, and everything's going to be fine. And we have a tendency to
Yeah.
think everything's crazy. Um, but now let's talk about you a little bit. Can we do that?
I feel like we've already been, but yeah, sure. We can deep dive a little bit more.
Well, the first thing is that you had a period of time. Tell us about your sleepless problems or your problems getting to sleep, or one such thing like that.
Sure. Well, what happened was when I was 21, I was working 3 jobs to put myself through school. And I ended up having a lot of stress in my neck muscles, which eventually I was diagnosed with a thoracic outlet syndrome in my left shoulder. And as a result, a neurologist and physical therapist told me I had to switch from stomach sleeping to back sleeping position. The problem was, as a back sleeper, my head kept rotating over my shoulder middle of the night, continuing to strain my neck muscles. So I had migraines, and yes, a lack of sleep affects your everyday life, your stress levels, your personality, how you interact with others. They're really, sleep is vital for our overall well-being, mental and physical. And so after several years and trying so many specialty pillows out there, and nothing was helping me or working, I did eventually just decide to invent a pillow for myself. And that is how this track came to be. Ultimately, I had no desire. I was a paralegal at this point. That's what I went to school for. I had a wonderful 17-year career, and I was so happy, and I never had desire to leave. But the pillow that I invented, the Spherehead pillow, really helped me. There's nothing else on the market like it. And so I did decide to bite the bullet and become an entrepreneur and put it out there for other people. And it's been available now for a little over 4 months. and has really helped people. I know this for a fact because chiropractors, physical therapists, they sell it to their patients, and I get to hear the wonderful feedback. So I know that it's making a difference in others' lives too. So it was definitely worth taking this risk and trying to start my own business here.
But air contraire, why don't you just make the pillow that you're going to sleep on and just, sleep on it and continue your career and stuff?
Really, just because I struggled. It was about 5 to 6 years that I was struggling with all these different pillows, and I was spending hundreds and hundreds of dollars on specialty pillows, and nothing was helping me. And so ultimately, a friend's mom, unfortunately, she was in a car accident and she ended up having severe shoulder and neck issues. And so I gave her, when I had to order my prototype for myself, the manufacturing plant wouldn't let me order one. They had me order four. That was the minimum. So I had extras. So I gave her one and it really helped her. And then I started giving out the others and having other people test them who needed it. Because it's wonderful for those who have sleep apnea too, because it rests along the outer curve of the face, whether you're on your side or back, it leaves the face completely unobstructed. So for those that have the really invasive CPAP machines, I started giving it out to those folks. And it was just helping so many people that ultimately it felt like the right thing to do was to patent the pillow and put it out there so other people could get a better night's sleep.
Those CPAP machines were made by somebody from the devil.
Right? I mean, even the little ones that just go in your nose, I mean, they're very intrusive to sleep with. So, yes.
Especially if you toss and turn a little bit, and suddenly you've got this hose that is stuck around your arm and stuff, and then it pulls off your face and nope, not for me, baby. But I mean, they were designed to be like some sort of a torture device. But
I
that's
know
just
a lot of people that would agree with you. Absolutely. So the Spherehead pillow makes that a little bit easier to sleep with that contraption. I just feel like that's another avenue. That's a big market for me. I'm trying to have a sleep study done right now so doctors can write scripts for those who have sleep apnea. So insurance will cover the pillow for free for the patients.
oh,
Because I
now
do
there's
think
an
they
idea.
go together very well.
That's a really good idea. Now, so all of this. First of all, do you have a background in engineering, in medical science, in um, how the body works, and what am I trying to say? Um, um, anyway,
Ergonomics.
yeah, that and also just anatomy. That's it.
Right.
Anatomy of how the neck bone is attached to the down bone. You know
Right.
what I mean?
No, you probably know more of that song than I do. I have no background there except for my own physical pain. So I really did just design the pillow for myself. So it wasn't ever I didn't think I needed any sort of background. I just knew I had seen my x-rays and I knew what was happening to my body and what I needed. And I knew what wasn't working for me and thus what would work. And so that was kind of the only sort of knowledge I had going into it. But I knew in my mind that the shape I created, which is completely innovative, there is really nothing similar out there, which is why I had to make it. Um, but I knew that that would work in my mind. I was like, this is my solution. And I searched for it, but there was nothing similar. So had to bite that bullet and be like, I'm going to invent it for myself.
So where did that idea come from? Did it just show up one day? Did an angel come down and tap you on the head with a
Right.
wand?
Well, I do meditate. So, I do believe in these higher planes of consciousness. So you have, I think personally, like we have our consciousness, our subconsciousness, but I do think that intuition sometimes comes from this cosmic consciousness. Some people would refer to it as, but really it was just because the other things weren't working. So I guess it was by deduction. So I found one pillow that stopped my head from twisting over my side. It bordered my face and it kept it at this 90-degree angle. So I was staring at the ceiling. it was just very restrictive and hot, and it stopped me from rolling on my side in the middle of the night if I wanted to change sleeping positions. So it was really just everything that wasn't working. So the Spherehead pillow, I tell people, imagine a sphere. The center is concaved, and that's what cradles and supports the head. And then there's a neck indent that mirrors the curve of the cervical spine. So it completely supports the neck and allows the muscles to relax. And what's great about the invention is that contoured shape in the back, that sphere shape with the weight of the head and that center concave, that's what allows the pillow to roll with the user in the middle of the night. So they can seamlessly transition from back to side sleeping. And really, there was nothing else out there like that, but I knew that that's just by power of deduction that that was the shape I needed. And thankfully, it really worked for me. And I've been sleeping on it for years now, even though it just came on market in May. And now so many others are sleeping on it too, and I'm hearing wonderful things every day. So I think it's a good design. It's just so out of the box that people really just need to take that time to adjust to what a pillow should look like and the health benefits it could provide.
If somebody would have told you 10 years ago that you're going to be on a podcast in 10 years talking about your brand new pillow that is out there, what would you have said?
I would have thought it was like maybe an alternate universe. Like I fell into a Rick and Morty episode, maybe.
Yeah, kids, it would be something like, no, come on, are you crazy? That would
Right. No, 10 years ago, I was, I was in my paralegal career, but I wanted to go into public interest law, and I would not have ever saw myself as an inventor or an entrepreneur. That was not on my horizon or even in the back of my mind.
What is public interest law? I haven't heard of that.
So as a paralegal, the attorneys, like public defenders,
Yeah.
people who just right. So public interest law for me, my passion has always been, I would say homeless, but now I think we call them unhoused or people experiencing homelessness. All the PC terms are always changing. So it's hard to keep up, but that was always where my heart lied. So I always wanted to help that demographic. And so I actually became a paralegal to try to contribute there to the unhoused population. But that's not where my career ended up taking me. And I'm actually fortunate for that because in hindsight, my invention is self-funded. And I wouldn't have been able to do that if I had gone in that direction. So now I went this different path, but that's what allowed me to have the salary to create the invention. And if it is successful, then any profit that I do make, I can now donate to shelters and other charities that help that demographic and the other charities that mean something to me as well. So I'm still going to be able to contribute and make a difference, but it's in a different route than I had initially imagined 10 years ago.
It is really, really important for everybody to recognize this. If you're somebody that is service minded, service oriented, you want to help people, you want to really be of service to people, and you've got a gift, you've got something that you do really well, or you create something that's really good. And the first thing that you say to yourself is, "Oh, this was easy. I can't charge for this." Well, let me explain how it works. If you don't charge a fair market value for what you are good at, so that you can do more of it, and so that you can help other people and create and to use your money for good things, nothing's going to change. So everybody needs to, at least in my opinion, I'd love your opinion. I think everybody needs to pay for the value that they are receiving, a fair market value, and also for people to charge for that so that the business can grow. See, your business, if it doesn't grow and doesn't touch a lot of people, you know what happens? Nothing.
Right. I mean, but it has already helped people. So I feel good. I think about it all the time. Like if I stop here today, I know enough people have it that it's made a positive impact.
No, but there's somebody. Stop it!
Right.
Stop it! Don't disagree with me, because
Okay.
there's somebody out there who hasn't had a decent night's sleep and their neck has bothered them. My sister's had 3 different neck surgeries.
Oh,
Um,
wow.
and so it's kind of fused there and stuff. And I'm thinking about getting one of your pillows just so she can try it, and maybe that will help her be able to sleep better, because her neck is all screwed up. But
I hope so. And I mean, there is a 30-day money back guarantee too. So she can always try it. And if she doesn't like it, just return it. But I definitely, I know that it has helped people who have had various neck surgeries. So I definitely think it's worth her giving it a go. I recommend that. And I agree with you with charging for services. But that fair market value, those words, I have a hard time because a lot of things are overpriced. So in terms of specialty pillows, a lot of them go for over $100. And I know because I was buying so many of them. And the Spherehead pillow is $59.99. And I will always keep it at that price because I feel like it needs to be affordable for the average person. And I think
if
that's very important too.
No, I couldn't agree more. But if you can if you can sell it for that, which would be the right price, and can make a profit from that, so that your company can continue to grow, so that
Mhm.
you can put out the advertising, so that you can get more people to buy it and stuff. That would make sense, a lot of sense to me. I don't advocate overcharging for stuff just because you can.
Right, which was that the fair market value for this pillow would be like probably not double the cost, but close to it. Would probably be, 90 to $100. I think that would be the average. But I just know that that's ridiculous. That's an enormous upcharge. It does not cost me that much to make one of these pillows. So, and exactly, I factored all that in. How to make it as affordable as it can be with still trying to make some sort of profit to put into the company to grow it, because it is a small little startup business. And obviously, funding is vital. And I don't really want to go the route of investors at this time anyway. If I need to in the future, that's fine. But the problem with investors is they want to build up a company so they can sell it off, most of them. And that's not my goal. I have real goals with this pillow. One is to make sure it's as affordable as it can be for the average person. And I also, like I said, if I make a profit, I want to be able to donate it to charities that mean something to me. So that's very important for me to always be in charge of this company. And I want to open up my own manufacturing plant ultimately. That's my 3 to 5 year goal, because I want to be able to fully control how the pillow is made, and also to give good jobs to people in that line of work and treat them like they're human beings. I had a friend that worked in a factory and she was treated horribly, like a number, not as a person. And I don't agree with that at all. So I want to help people make a difference and contribute on those three folds. Those are my three goals for this company. And as a result, that's why I am self-funded, because finding an investor that would align with me on those goals for the company, I think is actually difficult. A lot of them are in it just for the profit, and that's completely fine for them. But that's not what drives me. That's not what's pushing me to keep going here, and why I'm choosing the stressful route of being an entrepreneur versus my cushy 9 to 5 job where I just get a salary and check out at the end of the day.
Well, by the way, thank you for that, because you're operating from integrity and honesty, truthfulness, and all of those things will go a long way, because those things will come back to you, as you know, as
Oh,
you
yes.
put them out, they'll come back to you. It really is important. Yeah, and you're doing really an awesome job putting that together with the spirit that it's intended. How did you get to be so, for lack of a better term, enlightened?
I actually feel like I was just born that way, which is funny. I feel like I was born with a lot of wisdom that then life has kind of beaten out of me along the way. I became more cynical. But some things I think are just innate in your soul when we're here. Personally, I think maybe that we go around. I have my own little philosophies and beliefs, and of course, they're always evolving and changing. So, what I believe today on this podcast might not be aligned with what I believe in 10 years. And I've definitely had a journey of different beliefs. But currently, I think that we learn lessons in a multitude of lives. And I think, I know that I was born wanting to just help others. And I always saw that as my life goal. And I'm talking about like single digits. When I was very, very little, I knew that that was my purpose in life, was just to contribute and help other people.
Well, I let me stop this before I said that, because I was listening to Carl Jung. You know who that is?
Yes, of course.
And somebody said, so how long have you had this belief? And he said, well, I've lost the belief when I was 11 years old. And the guy said, yeah, 11? He said, no, I gained knowing. I now know what is true. I used to believe it. Now I
Wow.
know it. And the guy, and I thought to myself, now that is a statement, because now he knows. So, like you did, whether or not you knew at an early age that you were brought here, your mission in life was to be of service, and that made you happy. It makes me happy to do that. So
Yeah.
it's
Well,
important.
exactly. You have a podcast that's all about positivity. So I feel like you can relate. I think there's a bunch of us out there, a lot of common souls that know that we're just here to help others. And the purpose of life is to help and contribute and love. And I think sometimes we can get bogged down with negativity, whether it's climate or just other factors that surround us and our day to day stressors. But it's very important to always remember the positive energy that a lot of us put out there, and that's just as powerful. And by the
It's
way, I love your Carl Jung impression. Like that was a wonderful German accent. I could not pull that off. So it was a kudos. Yes.
well, thank you very much. Thank you very much. He is. I mean, when you listen to people like that,
Mm.
and it gives you hope for humanity, don't you think?
Oh, yes. And I love psychology. So I've always found it so fascinating to study humans and why they do what they do. Um, but absolutely, I think the more you listen to those who are enlightened, spiritual, even if they're not aligned with your beliefs. I'm not a Buddhist, but I read a lot of texts by a variety of Buddhist monks, because there are different factions of Buddhism. And even though that's not necessarily exactly my own belief systems, I still get enriched by it. It still helps me and feeds my soul. And I think we should all always branch out and try to find those uplifting, positive texts, whatever they could be.
And also, in fact, finding your own way to enlightenment is really interesting, because you don't necessarily need to have a book of somebody else to tell you how to live a better life. You can do that for yourself if you get in touch with your in my world, with your guides and your angels and people on the other side that are there to support you and stuff. And if you're open to it, open your heart and listen to it, you can come up with some amazing conclusions, don't you think?
Oh, absolutely. And that's what I meant, like that intuitive, when that higher plane of consciousness. So yes, it can be those on the other side. It's whatever you believe speaks to you. But if you can tap into that, I think it's such a helpful guide.
So I got to ask you, you seem like you are a spiritual person. Would that be fair?
Yes. I
Okay.
wasn't always, but yes, absolutely. Now I am.
Well, but life is an evolving series of experiences. And as you move forward and you get presented with different things, it changes your perspective, or in what happened to me last night, validates my perspective. Can
Ooh,
I
what
tell
happened
you?
to you last night? What a
Oh,
little
thank you
hook.
for letting me share. Well, a couple of precursors. First of all, I see the numbers 111, 11111 all the time.
Hmm.
And It just they just show up, and I can be asleep and I'll wake up and I'll see them and stuff. So those numbers mean a great deal to me, and I know that they are validation from the other side that whatever I'm thinking about, whatever I'm doing at that time is validated by them and what they're saying. Yeah, you're kind of on the right track. Yeah, we'll need to do a little bit. And the other thing is when you are a golfer, like my father was a golfer. He was a very, very good golfer. One of the terms in golf, have you ever heard the term four?
Yes.
And you know what that means.
Right. Yeah. Look out. It's coming.
Yes, and yes, and exactly. And so last night I was having a dream. And this dream was about doing the radio show on the local radio station, only we had a studio audience. And it was the last day of the show. And we did the show, and everybody was happy, and my little team was around me, and so we go downstairs, and I'm saying goodbye to everybody, and everybody's sad because the show's not going to be there, but it's going to be elsewhere, and it's growing, and wonderful things are happening, and this is being told to me while I'm having this dream. So don't fret, it's going to be great, and everybody's behind you, and it's going to work out really well. And then somebody said, and by the way, your dad came to my house and gave me this for you. And he gave me this little envelope. And somebody else did the exact same thing. My dad's been gone for 14 years. And so I open up the thing, and there's a bunch of money, and everybody's excited about the continuation of the show and where it's going and stuff. And so I woke up. Have you ever woken up from a dream and you remember the dream and then you turn to look at the clock?
Yes. Was it 11:11?
No, it was 444.
Wow.
So it was, and my interpretation of that is my dad was giving me the kudos for doing a good job, and that he was responsible for being part of that dream. And 444 meant golf, meant who he was, and stuff. So to me, that wasn't a coincidence. To me, that wasn't a really weird thing. It was by design, and my dad had a role in playing that. Does that make sense? Or if I
Oh,
need
yes. I mean, I believe that as well. I think our dreams, we can absolutely communicate with those who maybe are no longer physically present with us. I believe in energy. And so I think that we always can maintain that energy and that connection. And I think that there's a way to communicate while we are in a deep subconscious state. Like I said, those other planes of consciousness. So I think we can tap into different planes while we're in different states, while we're in our own bodies here.
and it's an important aspect of all of life, and the energy, the vibration, and as you continue to grow and your vibration and your energy continues to expand and grow and get bigger, then things in your life will change ever faster. You find that to be true?
I do, because I believe in the power of thought as well. We can project and manifest certain goals for ourselves, certain futures. So I think the more energy that you put out there in a certain direction, I absolutely think that you can manifest it. You can bring about that change in an exponential manner. And it's funny. So I see the numbers 923 everywhere. 923. There's something about that three set of digits, and every time I see it, I find it very comforting. And then someone told me once about these angel numbers, which I had never heard of that. And so I looked it up, and it's something where like 923 means life is worth living. And when I read about it, it really spoke to me on a really deep personal level. And still, even in this podcast, while we were talking, the little red timer is up there in the corner. And I happened to glance up right as it turned 923. But all the time, every morning and night, but on license, it doesn't matter. It's always there, and it's not a lucky number by any means, but it comforts me when I see those 3 digits together. It's like getting a hug. It's just it's a very warm feeling for me. I love, just aesthetically pleasing, perhaps, but
Which leads me to the conclusion that we're never alone. That we have people on the other side, and our families and guides and angels that are always there with us. So we never have to worry about being alone. We're not going to die alone.
mhm.
We're not, none of that is going to happen, and we're not going to be, we don't need to be lonely because we've got a support system around us all the time. And by the numbers that you get, by the numbers that I get, everybody gets their own set.
Mhm.
Um, just look for it. And that's all I ask is for people to do from this podcast is look for it. Look for the commonality. Look for the billboard that you see all the time. Look for the particular song that you see all the time or that you hear all the time. There is somebody that is working to reach you so that you can learn, so that they can help you be who you really are, which is what this show is all about.
I completely agree with you. And I also think we're in these bodies for a short amount of time. But I don't necessarily know when the body dies. I don't think that that's the end of the soul. And so I think that, yes, we have souls that are not in bodies physically with us that help us, but the same will happen to us as well. I have a friend, she called me today in tears. She has to put her cat down, sadly. And I've been there, and it was horrendous. And the hardest thing was not having him to physically hug anymore. But I still felt his energy. I still do. I can see him as clearly as I can see anything else, and I feel him with me. And I just hope that I gave him enough love in that lifetime, and he gave me enough love that perhaps if his soul is reborn, I do believe in these different sort of lives. So there's like the animal realm and all but I think we try to move up. And just an ability to do more good and to give more. And so I'm hoping that in his lifetime, I helped him enough that, perhaps if he comes back, he would have a greater opportunity to make an impact and help others and to pass on that love.
Or the other thing is that he decides that he wants to come back and spend more time with you because he loves you dearly or she loves you dearly. So if a kitten, and this is for everybody, if a little doggy or a little kitty just kind of magically appears into your life
Mm-hmm.
somehow, don't poo-poo it and don't disregard it. It may be a former pet coming to say, "Hey, I got more time. Let's go. Let's play for a while more. I missed it
Yeah.
and stuff." So, and that happens. And by the way, have you ever heard of a guy by the name of Dr. Michael Newton?
Well, like I've heard of like Newton's laws, but who's Michael Newton? Maybe I don't.
Dr. Michael Newton is an author.
Oh,
He,
okay.
he wrote Journey of Souls.
That sounds so familiar.
It is a book. I gotta tell you, if you are listening to this podcast, well, let me tell you the story. For those that don't know it, when I was in the middle of my spiritual change, and I was learning about meditation and spirit guides and how to do a lot of these things and different ways of believing about stuff. And my friend, who ended up getting me in radio, by the way, the first thing he did is he said, "I want you to go to a metaphysical bookstore and I want you to buy the first book that speaks to you." And I said, "Speaks to me? I don't know what you mean, speaks to me." And he says, "You don't have to. You will find a book, and that book will speak to you, and it will become important for you to buy that book. Don't hesitate. Buy it." So I go to the metaphysical bookstore, and I'm looking around, and right there in front of my eyes was a Journey of Souls, brand new book by Dr. Michael Newton. He's a hypnotherapist. He worked with people with past lives, and he also took people very, very deep so that they could make the transition through their past life to their death to their residency on the other side,
Mm.
and what they did over there and why. And he's literally talked to over, for that book alone, he talked to 10,000 people, and all of those people that he put under hypnosis all basically said parts of or complete the same thing. So it was in my mind, it was real. And so he presented. So if you have an opportunity to get Journey of Souls, what that presents to you is that not only do we live again, or do we continue living, we don't die, we continue living, but this is all part of a grand long journey that is more than just one lifetime. Because quite frankly, I know what it's like to be a short fat white guy who's bald from Seattle, Washington, but I don't know what it's like to be a beautiful woman from Rhode Island.
Oh, thank you. Well, it's so funny. So I actually on Thursday, on October 3rd, I'm doing that. I have an appointment booked with a hypnotherapist. It's my first time. I met her at a networking event, and she trained for like 30 something years under this other woman, where she puts people down in hypnosis and brings
Eileen
them into
Cannon.
other lives.
I
Sorry, what
think
was that?
I think her name is Eileen Cannon.
Um, Hold on. I know that we're filming right now, but I have her business card right here because my phone's all the way over there, and it's in my phone. Um,
No,
oof.
this is good. This is important.
Okay, well, if you pause for a moment, I will grab my phone. Let's pretend that didn't happen. We'll edit that out.
No, I like to keep that kind of stuff in because it's real.
But I cannot wait to go. I am so excited. But yes, so it's on the 3rd here, and it's called QHHT. And I'm not quite sure. I don't remember what that stands for. Oh, unfortunately, my email's closed. But I think I feel bad looking for this. I think her name is Elizabeth. Oh, here we go.
QHHT.
Yes, it's short for something, but I watched her videos on YouTube, and I have to say that she put this woman under, and it was the most fascinating. Okay, so here it is. It stands for quantum healing. Her name is Elizabeth, and I'm gonna butcher her last name. Des Rochers, DesRochers. And she does quantum healing hypnosis therapy. That's what it stands for. And I'm so fortunate to have met her, and I cannot wait for this session. But I watched her YouTube video. And so this woman, I mean, I probably shouldn't take our time and talk about this. It has nothing to do with the podcast.
Oh, stop it. People are going, tell me more. Tell me more.
Okay. Well, so she puts this woman under, and what Elizabeth says is that the voice that speaks to her when you're in hypnosis, she calls it the source. It can either be a past relative, it can be your quote unquote guardian angel, it can be your own subconscious. So it's this whatever is speaking through you. But Elizabeth just refers to it as the source because it's different for every person. So this woman's under, and the source is speaking through her of a past life that this soul has gone through, where she was talking about getting married at 15, growing up in this little village, and knowing that her purpose was to leave the village and go to get married. Since she was born, she knew she was going to have to do this. And she ends up marrying some shaman of this village. And this was, they don't, I'd missed the time period, but they talked about the journey, and it was with carts and horses. So a while ago. The woman ended up having a miscarriage, and the village put her out. They thought it was a bad omen, and they put her in the woods, and she died. And they were talking. The Elizabeth asked the source, "Why are you bringing up this lifetime? What is the purpose?" And the source answered that the soul could have died in fear, that she could have been petrified in the woods, but instead she chose to just walk and walk till she died, but to live in peace, to appreciate the beauty of the woods, the animals that she heard. and that she ended up dying in the woods, but not out of fear, that she was completely at peace with herself and her life. And the source wanted, now the person put under, they wanted her to know that you know, there was nothing wrong with her for having this miscarriage, and just to remember that inner peace that she felt during that other lifetime. And it was brilliant. And I'm excited to experience it and see what happens.
That was Dolores Cannon, who was the hypnotherapist who originally did this 50 years ago. I
That's
had
who she
the,
studied with. Yes.
yes, I had the rare opportunity to interview her in the early 2000s. And
Really?
yeah, she was a remarkable lady, and she and Michael Newton they've got the same philosophy, the same, they talk about the same exact things. As a matter of fact, one of the guys that a guy came to Michael Newton, and this is again a part of the healing properties that your soul can initiate.
Mm.
Um, Guy came to Dr. Michael Newton, said he had pain in his side for a very long time. He went to doctors, nobody could figure it out. Um, but the pain consisted and continued. And so he took him into a past life regression, and he took him to World War I.
Mm.
And he was on the battlefield of one of the biggest, bloodiest battles in the history of mankind in World War I. And he even showed he even described the insignia that he was wearing. And the guy now he wasn't a history major, he has no idea, but they even described the insignia from World War I and the description of the battle. Well, during the battle, this particular individual was bayoneted in the side, and he died. Um, and it was horrific the way that he died. And
Yeah.
so they went back and they alleviated that, and they talked about it, and they brought him back, and that pain has been gone ever since.
Wow. It's
Um,
amazing.
there's a lot more to it than we really know.
Yes.
And so these people, the Dolores Cannons of the world, and there, as a matter of fact, I have a good friend of mine. His name is Regan Forston, and he has gone to the Newton Institute to learn how to do this type of hypnotherapy. Now, Michael Newton died 10 years ago,
Mm.
and so he went through and went to home, life between lives on the other side, and met Dr. Newton there.
And I think that's amazing, and I believe that as well. The lineage of gurus that I personally connect with. Have you read Autobiography of a Yogi, Yoganda?
I've heard the story. I haven't read the autobiography per se.
So he started the Self-Realization Fellowship, but that, out of all the texts I've read, and I haven't read them all. Obviously, I didn't read Michael Newton's, but I will. But of all the texts I've read, of all the monks, I've really connected with that lineage of gurus the most. And he really got me understanding that you can, in fact, meet people in these other planes of consciousness. They can stand before you, even though they are not physically in a body anymore. You can still commune with them. You can see them. That's what I meant. Like, I can still see my cat as clear as day.
Exactly.
And but yes, so Elizabeth told me that Dolores had passed away too. She mentioned that so I'm so glad you had a chance to meet her and speak with her, because Elizabeth was telling me that she was just such a wonderful teacher and person, that she learned so much from her.
And you can also find just Dolores Cannon. Go to
Mm.
YouTube and type in Dolores Cannon, and she will appear all over the place. And she does lots of lectures and so that you can understand a little bit more, because there's a lot of these things that science hasn't caught up to it yet. They're working on it. They're getting closer, but they haven't figured out some of this stuff yet. But it is really important, and that's one of the reasons why I got a chance to meet her. I met Dr. Newton, and I interviewed them both. And the reason for that is because that's how it really is, in some form or manner like that. And so there's nothing that we need to be afraid of, or to be, and that it's going to be okay, and that you are going to continue, and you're going to continue on to do great things, depending upon if you choose to or not.
I completely agree with you wholeheartedly. And we don't need to be scared about dying. I really don't believe that. I think we get a little bit overconsumed with it. I know some people who just live for the afterlife. They think if they follow all these rules during life, that that guarantees them some sort of afterlife. But I think ultimately, just keep leading with love and kindness and try to help people. And regardless of what body you're in or what phase of consciousness, wherever your energy lies or is encapsulated, you'll be fine.
And we are here, number one, to achieve what we wanted to achieve before we even got here. We discussed this on the other side about what we were going to be. And there was going to be a time when, if we look it up in the Akashic records, there's going to be a time when you and I are going to be sitting down having a podcast, and we're going to be talking about this stuff. This is not happenstance. It was designed to be real, and stuff. So it's important that we all understand that, and to treat each other and our lives like our lives depended on it, because to be kind to somebody else is not hard. You can do it.
And I think as well, it helps when we get out of ourselves. Um,
Mhm.
we have to remember how insignificant we actually are and that we're all connected by this energy. And I do think it helps for me when I meditate. That's what it does for me. It gets me out of my consciousness and out of my body and connecting to this higher plane, and just remembering how really small and insignificant my personal problems are. That's all the ego speaking. And there's so much more out there that's actually matters and actually important. And me and my personal problems of Alizah Josette are insignificant ultimately. And it's hard to always remember that in the forefront of our minds, but it's always helpful to somehow connect and remember that, you know, so many things that we get upset about just are completely irrelevant.
And like Luke's, or like Obi-Wan Kenobi said, let it go. Just let it go.
So are you going to do like impersonations, some like on stage? I mean, you got it down. I think that we should turn the rest of the podcast into like, we'll just do little shout outs to celebrities, and you can I love this idea. Different
Well,
impersonations.
some of us have got skills and some of us don't. I can. that's my Sean Connery for
Oh,
you.
I got it right away from the second. Yes.
Well, and bless your heart, because I keep getting emails, and one of them said, if this guy's not a stand-up comic, he should be. And it's like, so, but I just love doing this, and I love making people laugh, and I love having an opportunity. This has been for me a very, very genuinely great podcast for me to be part of. And I
Mm.
want to thank you for that.
Oh, well, thank you. I did not anticipate our conversation going this way. And I loved it. I have done a few of these now, and it's always so much more enjoyable to just have a genuine, authentic conversation with someone about real issues. Yes, the pillow is helping people. That is obviously the initial reason of why we are speaking today. But I speak about it all the time, and it's much more enjoyable for me to have a genuine conversation and connection with someone. So thank you so much, Kevin. I've had a wonderful time.
I am so glad. And by the way, go to her website, which is sphereheadpillow.com, and you can look at her pillow. There's a 30-day money back guarantee. By the way, this is for your PR person.
Oh,
There's
thanks.
a 30 there's a 30-day money back guarantee. You're gonna love the pillow. It's gonna help you sleep, and it's gonna align your neck and all that kind of good stuff. And it's only been out 4 months, so you can order it early, and then you can let me know how it goes for you. But she's getting great response from it. So congratulations.
Thank you. And I'll also mention then on a business note for the PR people that I do have this affinity partnership program. So I partner with chiropractors, physical therapists, massage therapists, anyone in that healthcare field whose patients or clients could benefit from the Spherehead pillow. So if anyone out there just listening is in the healthcare fields and they'd like to learn more about that affinity partnership program, please also contact me. My email's right on the website, and I'm very easy to find on LinkedIn. So feel free. My number's right on there too. And I'd love to discuss with those healthcare professionals out there, as well as the individuals who may have any sort of questions.
And I have an idea. If all the listeners who listen to Positive Talk Radio were to order um, a pillow from you, we might swamp you.
That would be true. You have a vast listener base.
And it's growing. But Alicia, you are just. Will you come back? I
I would
want to.
love to.
And also I'm going to promote you to be my female guest on the show, which is Unscripted Politics, which we do on Saturday, because you will knock the socks off of what's his name. I just I just know it.
Thank you. I mean, I definitely love discussing politics as well in a friendly, non-combative manner, but one that is productive conversation, because I think that we need to have more of those. We can't be afraid to just talk to those that have different opinions than ourselves, because like I said, ultimately we're all connected and we have that energy, and I really believe that. And it's okay to converse and see what we can align on instead of just what we differ.
Right now, there is a disruption in the force, and we need to get back to having it better than it was. So,
yes.
Elijah, thank you so much for being here, and we're going to do this again, and I'll be in touch about unscripted politics. So,
I'd love to. Thank you, Kevin, and thank you all for listening.
Thanks for listening to this episode of Positive Talk with Kevin McDonald. Our purpose is to provide everyone with a positive, entertaining, and educational experience. I would love your feedback and comments about the show, including possible topics and great guest suggestions. Please email me at kevin@kmmedia.pro. And remember, be kind to one another, because each other's all we've got.